All right, guys, we're back and we have spoken about so many things in the past couple of videos. We have spoken about the immune system, first of all, what it was designed to do and what it's supposed to do under normal circumstances in response to threats. We have spoken about the autonomic nervous system in a separate video. We've spoken about what it does, how it works, and exactly what it is that we expect of it in any given situation as well. Today, we are actually going to go into a little bit more in-depth discussion about what the autonomic nervous system actually does at a cellular level. And so as a result of that, you'll be able to figure out exactly how it is that the autonomic nervous system essentially regulates every cell in our body. A lot of the diseases or dis-eases that we experience are as a result of dysfunctions of the autonomic nervous system. I promised you would speak about how the autonomic nervous system and the immune system interface with each other. And we're going to talk about just that today. All right, so we're here at the digital drawing board. And we're looking at a diagram that was used to help me to understand so many things about the autonomic nervous system. Now, I really don't know where this diagram comes from. As you can see, it's in another language other than English. So I hope the people who originally built it are comfortable with me using it because I don't know who to give credit for it. All I know is that it has been instrumental in helping me. So, what are we looking at here? We are looking at an imagination of what looking under the microscope at the cells of the body would look like. So first of all, we need to identify what these things are. What are these different cells and structures we're looking at? Well, let's start off with the cells that look familiar since the past 2 years of work. The first one here is a white blood cell. All right. That's number 4, and I'm assuming that means a mast cell, which is a type of white blood cell involved in the immune response, especially in allergies. Number 6 here is what we call a fibrocyte. That's important for responding with inflammation. I'm going to guess that number 5 is another type of white blood cells. I'll probably put the caption down below. All right, and numbers 3 and 2 represent structures within the cellular level called collagen and elastin. These are important in inflammation as well. And then over here, we see some cells of a tissue of an organ. All right, so that's organ parenchyma. And 9 represents the membrane of these cells. Very, very technical, but we can handle it. Number 8 is a capillary, which is a very small blood vessel carrying oxygen and nutrients towards the cells. And this guy here is one of the most important things that we need to know about. This guy is number 7. If you remember, we had a diagram showing a nerve cell and it had something called the terminal branches of the axon. These are the terminal branches here. So I'll show you the diagram again of the terminal branches of the axon. And then you'll see that these are those same terminal branches. Now watch what they're doing here. We said that they have the ability to interface with different nerves. But look at what these are doing. These terminal branches, yes, they're interfacing between other nerves here. So this is probably the terminal part of one branch of one of the nerves. Terminal part of another branch of another nerve, and so they're interfacing there. We see that, but look at what they're also doing. They're also interfacing with the immune cells. They're interfacing with number 4 for sure, interfacing with number 5, communicating and probably instructing. And so there's an interplay between these immune cells and the nerve cells, and they're wrapped around a blood vessel. So they can also interface with the blood vessel to determine how it regulates its width and different things about blood flow. And then finally, look at where these cells are able to interface directly. The nerves are interfacing directly with the cells of the organ. So we have autonomic nervous system wires interfacing all the way up to the various cells of the tissues in our body, as well as between other autonomic nervous fibers, as well as with the blood vessels, as well as with the immune cells. All right, so now we have an explanation of how the autonomic nervous system then is able to interface and regulate not just the physical structures that we spoke about in the last video, but also the circulatory part of the immune system. So remember, we spoke about two parts of the immune system, my way of dividing it into the circulatory and the stationary. And we see here, if this was, for example, the liver or the spleen, then we'd see that the autonomic nervous system is able to regulate and instruct these cells of the liver or spleen, while at the same time it's also able to instruct and regulate the cells of the circulatory system here. So now we know that the autonomic nervous system can interface with the cells of the circulatory part of the immune system as well as those of the structural part. So when we have a disease or dis-ease, what are we really talking about? What we're actually saying is that the autonomic nervous system has become dysfunctional or dysregulated. So that means that in this particular diagram, the cells of the tissue would no longer be working well, as well as the circulating immune cells would no longer be working well, because the regulatory wires are not working as they should. So now we have dysregulation of the body and the potential for dis-ease to take place. So what are some of the things that will contribute to the person developing dis-ease? Well, number one, we're talking about toxins. Toxins can take various forms. So environmental toxins can get lodged within this area and interfere with the ability of the autonomic nervous system to work with the cells in a harmonious way. Number two is nutritional issues. So nutritional deficiencies will interfere with the health of all the cells shown in the picture here, including the blood vessels, nerves, circulatory cells, as well as the organ cells. We talk about electrical short circuits, so scar tissue, for example. Let's say that there was a line drawn through one of these cells here, preventing these nerves from interfacing and communicating effectively. Then you'd have the potential for almost a short circuit happening here, and then all of this interplay gets messed up. All right, different medications can interfere, infection can interfere. There's a long list of different things that can interfere. The most common ones, of course, being infection, scars, toxins, nutrition. So what we now have is a full understanding of how the autonomic nervous system is able to interface with all of these different cells. And we now have a list of things that will be able to interfere with the effective interplay between the cells themselves and the different functions of the autonomic nervous system. So now we can talk about how to test the autonomic nervous system to see if it is working, and if it is not, to figure out what are some of the remedies that may be able to help it to work better. Well, the next video, I'm going to show you a very special way of assessing the autonomic nervous system. If you can guess what the name of that technique is, the initials are ART. If you can guess, leave it in the comments below, and we'll talk next video. Bless you.